Hello there. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some initial testing I've done with Manus. You've probably seen Manus AI getting a lot of attention lately. And there's been some really nice YouTube videos about it. And I thought I'd try it out with a few things just to see how it compares and see how it's going to provide value. I'll start just with a quick summary of kind of my experience. And that is, I'm really impressed with it. I think it takes the whole approach much further than, say, ChatGPT or Claude or other tools that we're all using, because it steps through and does a whole lot of research on the web, pulls it back, compiles it, and gives you quite a good output. So I'm going to walk through two prompts that I've been using just to test with it. I'm only new to this. I'm not an expert. So just to be clear, I'm not trying to tell you I'm an expert at this, and I've done very simple prompts, but I'll walk you through so you can kind of see what it's provided. And I think you'll be impressed. And at the end, I'll talk about some of my concerns and also things to be mindful of. And yeah, we'll see how we go. So this is pretty ad hoc. We'll go through. Now, the two things I'm going to walk you through. First, a business plan. You can see my quote here. Please provide a business plan for a HubSpot consultant who is looking to incorporate AI in their HubSpot agency. And I picked this because, well, I'm a HubSpot consultant and, well, I'm looking to incorporate AI, aren't we all? And I just wanted to see what it gave me, because then I could sanity check it and see whether it's reasonable or not. And so we're going to go through this and I'll show you all the things it does and the output it provides. Let me jump ahead though and just kind of show you what it provided. At the end, it actually provided this entire business plan. This is all Manus, did all of this and created it as a website and everything. It's actually pretty good as a whole business plan, walks through everything. There's even financial projections and stuff. I'll walk you through all of that in a second, but that's where we're going to get to. And then the other thing that I will show you is in this same thread, I asked it to say, well, okay, that sounds great. Can you actually turn that business plan into a marketing website so I can promote it? And this is what it provided. It built this website as if it's offering the service. And I'll walk through this and some of the concerns I have about it and just what to be wary of. But let's go back a step and have a look at this. So what does Manus do differently to, say, ChatGPT? Manus is actually going to go out and use agents. I know the whole agent model is very flavor of the month at the moment, and that's a good thing. It's really just the future. I'm not here to talk about trends, really just to say how it works. So you can see what it does. I'm going to help you do this. I'm not going to read everything as we go through. I'm just going to a few highlights. It actually goes out and does all of these steps, and it can show you doing it. Now, I'll just tell you, this took a fair while, I think 15 to 20 minutes. So it's not like ChatGPT just coming back and spitting out stuff for you. It actually goes through, and you can see it's going through all these different sites doing research. See, the first thing it's doing is researching the latest trends. So it's not just pulling it from its body of knowledge like ChatGPT might or some of the other models. It's actually going out and doing research. And you can see all the different sites here. It's looking at some of the research sites from HubSpot. There's various eMarketer, various other sites it's looking at. It's pulling that all back together, compiling it. Then it's analyzing it all. Here it is developing a business model. So it's searching for all of these things as well, various business models, financial projections. Again, it's looking at websites, scrolling through them. You can even see it scrolling down, clicking elements, all this kind of stuff, blogs, etc. And then it's, look, I've pulled it all together and I've created a file. I've completed the comprehensive business plan. So this took, I think, about 15 minutes, and it's pretty comprehensive. It gives you the summary, and then you can kind of see what it looks like. Here's the summary, all as a document here. Table of contents goes through value proposition, all this kind of stuff. Industry analysis. So this is all real data that it's pulled together. So this is not just hallucinated stuff or made up stuff. This is actually pulled from all of those sites that it went through. And then it's decided who the different markets are, which all makes sense, pain points. which I think are pretty good. Characteristics of some of the organizations. Competitive analysis, threats, a bit of a SWOT model there, or service offerings that it thinks you should do. So I'm actually just going to have a look at this kind of stuff in a second to go through to see whether it's actually reasonable or not. And then how it goes about working out your strategy for what you're going to do. For delivery, revenue streams, partners, all this kind of stuff, pricing strategy, walks you through a whole bunch of things. And then it actually gives you revenue projections. Because I've asked it kind of like for a business plan, this is the kind of stuff that gets put in. By year 3, apparently be making more than $1 million. So there you go. There's the plan, revenue breakdown. So this is all, it's just numbers that it's forecasting. It's even coming up with profit margins, all kinds of great stuff. And then break-even analysis. Like, this is pretty comprehensive. It's going through. You can see it all here. And then how you go out and market it and all the things that you can do. So there is a whole plan here. I think this is pretty impressive because when I've gone through, and we're not going to do all of this on this session, but it's not actually, it's not junk. Most of this, there's some parts which I think are a little bit wishful thinking, but it's mostly pretty credible, I think, going through. That's been my response to it. It gives you months breakdowns and all this kind of stuff. It's guiding you. Okay, so we get through to all of that. It gives you a risk analysis and all the challenges and even how much it's going to cost to get going with all of this. And it even gives you, look, you need to get about 25K to get all this going because it's assuming that I'm not yet a business or an agency. So that's something that I might, if I really was going down this, I'm just using this prompt as a test. But if I really was after a business plan, then I'd prompt it a bit more carefully around, here's the starting position. I am already an agency. I am already making X number of dollars. So some of these things I don't need to do. HubSpot certifications, we have all of that already. So there's some things here it doesn't know because I haven't given it all that background information. I'm just checking how Manus works. Okay. So then I said, look, can you turn that into a website? And it did. It grinds away, doing all this. That's all I've asked it to do. It does a whole bunch of things, puts it into a website, navigation, visual elements, comes through it all, keeps going, builds it all. And then here's the actual website. And this is what it looks like. It's called AI Enhanced HubSpot Consulting Business Plan, Comprehensive Strategy. And here's all the things. So it's built basically all of that from that document that we've just been through. All the business plan sections, financial projections, and of course you can see the whole thing here. So that's actually pretty nice to build all of that from a single prompt, go through and make it live. So then I said, look, I love this business plan. Can you please prepare this as a marketing site so that I can promote these offerings? So basically, let's assume I love the plan. Let's make a business out of this. I'm glad you love it. Great. Let me go through. And so then it goes through all of these pieces. It asks me a few questions. Who's the ideal target market? This is because I put one of the settings in Manus. You can say, do you want it to check with you before it proceeds? And I've turned that on, and it's asked me these questions to clarify a bit more. And I've just kind of said, look, our ideal audience is this. Let's just do initial offerings. I like blue infused with orange. I want it to look premium. And the goal is to book in a discovery call. It's like, great, let me work with that. It goes away. It's doing some more searching, by the way, looking for product designs, and it gets a whole bunch of stuff. It's doing all this in the background. I ran out of credits, so I actually purchased more credits. That was easy, and then it continued. By the way, I've spent $59 Australian on this. I think $39 US for credits because it's pretty intensive doing all this kind of stuff. Goes through, and then it's deployed it. And then here's the website. So then this is the website that it came up with. By the way, these are all on a Manus kind of domain there. And look, some issues with styling, that probably I need to change that. But overall, it's done a pretty good job. Blue, orange, looks reasonably modern. Not going to win design awards by any stretch. But look, Here it is. It's got all the words. There's the outcome and kind of what you do and how do you get it. Intelligent lead scoring, automated workflows. The impact, so it's giving you some credibility statements. Obviously, it's just made these up out of thin air. Thankfully, it's actually used round numbers so that we can kind of know straight away, look, that's bogus. We need to check that. But it's kind of given, look at these little icons. It's done all this with orange and that. Here's our services. It's given me the usual 3 option offerings here with the prices, what you can do to get started. Here's some success stories. Look at this. These are all made up, by the way. Totally bogus. It's made them up. Read the full case study. That'll go to an error. What our clients say, made all of this stuff up, by the way, but just some placeholder content. So this is the lorem ipsum or the chat GPT ipsum kind of stuff that we're seeing a lot of. And then book your discovery call. So look, why don't we see book your discovery call? Oh, look, what does it do? It takes me to a page. Look at this. Again, look, some styling things we'd need to fix. Let's start a conversation. Beautiful. What to expect. Preferred, obviously that's a fake number. And here's the form asking you, look at all of this. So it's kind of given you all of this. I don't know what happens. Probably doesn't work. Even frequently asked questions. It's given you the layout for the page. Let's go back to home. We could go to the services. It's got a whole services page around it. That's some of that stuff again, and some other custom solutions. So this, I feel, credibility statements, here's all those bogus things. Pretty nice. I think this is pretty impressive. A little bit about, nothing there. Resources, nothing there. So it's got some placeholder pages, case studies here. Let's just have a look at a case study. This will go to a 404. Okay. So it's just putting all the placeholders for this, just so that you can get a sense of it. I think this is pretty impressive. Okay. So that's where we've got to with that. That's just one thread I've been through, created all this kind of stuff. And then I actually said, well, look, that's all good, but what's if I wanted to host that somewhere else myself? And then how can I host this? And it said, look, get a domain name, set up the DNS records. I could point it here. I'm like, well, look, can I just download all the source code? Sure. It prepares it all for me. And there's actually a zip file, and then there's all the stuff in there. So what I'm highlighting here is this is where all the AI stuff is going. Now, can you do this in ChatGPT and other tools? Look, we're getting there. Especially at the higher end of ChatGPT. So it's not about whether Manus is better than other tools. It's about where this is all going. And I feel a few emotions when I see this. One is excitement about the opportunity and how this could save so much time. And the other is terror or fear, because this is just going to totally upend so many businesses, including our own. So any consulting business, we're kind of consultants and trainers and implementers, any consulting business is getting disrupted, if not right at the moment, then this year. And they're going to get crowded out by a whole bunch of startup businesses like these that are just made overnight. There'll be business plans like this that tell you exactly what to do. So you just basically need to follow it. A lot of this advice is really good. Even talking about pricing strategy, a key area that most businesses don't get right. And then just spinning up this kind of site. And I think this is, there's a few comments or thoughts I have around this regarding the number of sites you're going to see like this, where people are just like, I just want to create a business. Tell me what to do. What problems do I need to solve and that? Whereas before, we always used to be like, okay, what's a need out there? What's a problem? And what's a service that I like doing that I can be good at that solves a problem? And it was very much based on our kind of understanding of the market. This is just telling us, here's what you should do. Now, whether or not this is actually a problem that needs solving, transforming your HubSpot experience with AI, I don't know. But because it's got AI in it, of course, everyone thinks it's really important. But look at this, specialized consulting services to help tech and engineering companies leverage the power of AI within HubSpot. I'm pretty sure a lot of companies would respond to that. And this is what part of my concern is, because if you look at this site that it's created, how is this different to almost all the other businesses out there? There are so many like this. And if your own business website looks like this, then you should be afraid, because all that time and effort that you put into creating your website with these differentiators and the layout and that, if it looks like this, then it's not differentiated. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Oh, wow, I'm in trouble. So that kind of opportunity and fear dynamic was catching me. So how to use all this? Well, the other thing that I think this really points to is there's going to be a need for credibility. Because as sites like this get spun up so quickly in the matter of minutes, and then I could go and I'd grab all those files and host it somewhere. I could spin up this site and get it live. I could then be pushing Facebook ads to it or something like that. There's going to be so many people testing that stuff and pushing out stuff with content that is just bogus. For example, I am sure many people would just push this live because the numbers look good. They might tweak them so they look, 27%, 19%. They might tweak them a bit so it's not so obvious. But there's going to be a lot of stuff. The important thing is, once this is out there and people are saturated with these kind of sites, they're going to be like, I don't believe them. And when they see success stories like this, they're going to be like, I don't believe it. And I'm pretty sure I could further prompt Manus to say, look, build out that case study page for me, again, with completely bogus stuff. And I think a lot of people, they won't intentionally be lying and making up stuff, but they'll just take what AI gives them and they'll push this out as a website. It's like, oh, well, that's what AI. And you'll have a lot of this stuff completely made up out there, and people are very quickly going to realize it's actually not true. So there's going to be a fight for credibility. I think there's going to be a push back to getting real reviews that can actually be confirmed, whether that's Google reviews or actually trusted third-party review sites that approve the reviews and testimonials, whether it's actually getting people on other platforms like Google reviews so that it's credible, or creating videos where they actually record themselves saying it so it's credible, although of course there's all deep fakes coming as well now. I think there's going to be a real push and a preference for businesses that can prove and back up what they say. I saw an ad from a well-known company the other day. This is a listed company, and they were basically making claims about how much time AI is going to solve people. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not true. I'm pretty sure that's just an ad created by AI that's made up numbers. I don't know. And how could they be held to account for that? Not really. There's going to be so much fake stuff out there. So there's a credibility piece, and that's a differentiator. If you can actually prove and back up your claims, I think that's going to be really important. Otherwise, we're all cooked with all these kind of sites coming up. So that's a few comments around Manus for the first prompt. Okay, I'm going to go on to the second prompt. Let me show you the other one. Because then I was like, well, I'm a content creator. We create a lot of stuff on video and podcast, and we have our own community. And I was like, I will tell it around problems that I want to solve. And so I've said, I'm a HubSpot Consultant YouTube content creator. I like to create videos that answer common HubSpot questions and problems. Can you please research through Reddit, HubSpot community forums for common questions that people ask about HubSpot and common problems they have, and then prepare the 20 most common ones for me, and some bullet points and some video titles, and also just in the last 12 months. So Manus went, yeah, sure. I'll go through and do that. And so in this second prompt, starts going through a whole bunch of Reddit sites. It actually it asked me some clarifying questions, specific areas, types of people, look, beginners, intermediate, any preferences. And I said, look, on Marketing Hub, Service Hub, Sales Hub, And I've also said beginner to intermediate users, and it can be how-to guides as well as troubleshooting and best practices. All right, so it's gone through all of that. Goes searching through all of these different sites, compiles them, and then it gives me this document. Now, this document, I then sanity checked. I kind of went through to say, is this gelling with what we're hearing from clients? Because we obviously work with a lot of different clients in HubSpot. We do have a good sense of the problems that they have. And some of them we don't hear. So is HubSpot Marketing Hub worth the cost for growing startups? So we don't really work with startups, but it could be mid to large. And so quite often there is confusion. As HubSpot's got more complex, they've got these seats model, different hubs, all those kind of things. So that's probably a good one. And I like the title. Is Marketing Hub actually worth it for your startup? So that's a good title, because that is probably a question. More onto when you've got HubSpot and you're getting delivery. How do I create effective lead nurturing workflows? I think this is a common question. Comes under a couple of different guises. Sometimes people don't know the word workflow, or they don't know nurturing, but this is actually what they're after. And so here's the title: Create Workflows That Convert, with real examples. So look, I think that's probably a good one. I won't go through all of these, but yeah, some of these questions, I think it's actually pretty good. Segmenting my contact database. This comes up in just about every call with clients at some point or another. Segmentation, understanding how to filter their contact database for various intent and categorization. So you can see all these, and I might actually make this available as a file if you want to download it. How do I affect onto the sales part? Effective sales pipelines. Yep. Automate deal creation and management. This comes up all the time. So what's my point? My point is that these are good answers. These are actually real problems we see often with clients. Sales reporting comes up all the time. How do I integrate my sales process marketing? Oh, great question. This comes up all the time. Best way to manage sales sequences and templates. Yeah, excellent. Service Hub. These are actually all good questions. How do I automate ticket responses with AI and knowledge-based articles? Another great question. Came up in a Q&A we were doing recently. What's the best way to track customer service? So it goes on, and what's my point? These are actually real. And I think this is important. You might look at these and go, well, of course they are. I've done similar prompts in ChatGPT and Claude. I ask it kind of what are common problems, and some of them are good, but then some of them are just made up. Obviously, they're large language models. They kind of predict what you think they're going to say, and they are trained on existing data. But a lot of the suggestions they give are not quite right, or they're questions people don't really ask, but they sound like they might ask. I think this is the first time I've got back a response from an AI tool where I've gone through and I could not object to any of them. These are all correct. And so when it comes to thinking about content to create and ideation and how we might approach it, I think this tool is actually going to be key in our process. I've been frustrated with a lot of the AI tools, ChatGPT, or even within HubSpot, their Content Hub kind of ideation tools. I'm just like, maybe. I don't know if that's actually content people want. It's just content slop. I think we're all used to content slop. These, I think for the first time, I'm like, this is actually useful. I will actually take almost all of these and work on them. I think that's a fundamental shift when it comes to AI and the tools that we're using. When I can actually rely on this as a kind of a domain or a knowledge domain expert and go, yep, this is actually good, rather than, I've got to vet all these answers from AI and kind of cut them back. This is an important new, what will I say, a new level that we can actually use. So as I said, you can see I've only done 2 prompts and I only worked on this the last couple of days, getting to the bottom of it. But I think this is quite a big step forward, just because of the way it's gone and does the research based on a whole bunch of articles, looking through them, pulling it back together, formulating it. I'm very impressed. So that's my summary of using Manus so far. Early days. I think this bodes well for where the tools are going. They're getting more complex. They're thinking through. I'll highlight again that both these queries took many minutes. This wasn't just a quick 30-second response. This was actually taking out time to do research and come back with a crafted answer. But then the fact that it can just build websites and do all of this for you, I think is very impressive. I know there's lots of other tools that can build websites on the fly and stuff like that. So I'm not saying this is unique, but this is at another level to the tools that we've been using to date. I hope that's helpful. That's a quick walkthrough. Let me know if you've got any questions and further, I guess, thoughts about where this might go. I'm going to continue working with it. I think this is part of our business workflow now. It's a part that is going to help us save time. This is not I know a lot of the people talking about Manus and the AI tools are trying to create side hustles or businesses, and you see them, here's how I made $30,000 a month with this new business from AI. I don't think it's that. I think a lot of that is snake oil. If anyone's telling you about how much money they made online using a tool and then trying to promote it, chances are they made money talking about the course they sold you to tell you about it rather than actually using it to create a business. So you've got to be on the watch out for that. There is a lot of get-rich-quick schemes out there. But I think this is a get knowledge and process quick scheme rather than get rich. This is fundamental to protecting your business so that you don't get wiped out by this whole disruption that is happening for just about every business this year. Thanks for watching.